It's amazing that we're coming full circle from the 2024 UN Civil
Yes.
Society Conference and still discussing the importance of intergenerational solidarity and collaboration. So, this is such a wonderful day. And I just want to say to all of the people who have just joined us, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome. Welcome to the Designing the Future Together Local Actions for Global Impact event. Today, we will be showcasing youth research teams as they develop and test intergenerational strategies to advance the UN Sustainable Development Goals in their local communities. Together for SDGs is the organizer and facilitator of today's event, and just some context about Together for SDGs and how we came about. We're a youth-led intergenerational initiative that resulted from the international or intergenerational and youth subcommittee and supporters of the 2024 United Nations Civil Society Conference in Nairobi, Kenya, led by my fellow co-leads, Omondi Peter, who is the founder of Global Youth Fellow, as a forum, as well as Dr. Kristen Bodiford, who is a principal of community strengths and senior fellow of Generations United, whom I had both worked with and met through the intergenerational and youth subcommittee. To introduce
Mm.
myself. My name is Kyra Eubanks. I'm a youth advocate as well as a representative for Generations United to the United Nations. And it's truly an honor to be with you today as we co-create intergenerational strategies that intersect local impact and global frameworks. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge our co-leading partners for today's event, which are Generations United, the Global Youth Forum, and the Tangaza Institute for Social Transformation. So just want to give everyone
There we
a
go.
round of applause. This is our time together. We are now currently in the welcome and opening remarks section for our event. We will soon be hearing from our youth strategy presentations. We'll be sharing intergenerational strategy prototypes. So these are ideas that are either currently being implemented right now or being tested, or they're being prototyped. And this is an opportunity for you to not just sit here and be a part of today's event, but to really provide active feedback that we really want to hear from you. So first, we're going to have our youth strategy presentations. Then we're going to hear from our incredible speakers, Carole A'gengo as well as Donna Butts, who will be sharing intergenerational wisdom with us, especially as it relates to starting the feedback cycle from the presentations that we'll be hearing today. And then we will go into a breakout from prototype to practice where we'll have an opportunity to hear from you. So we'll have breakout rooms designed or rather created and organized according to the presentations that are taking place today. And this is your opportunity to share what you like, what you would like to see, and really ask questions that can help to formalize or to even strengthen the strategies that are being shared today. Then we'll move on to harvest from insights from breakout. So we'll get to hear from some of the rapporteurs who are taking notes in today's breakout rooms. And then we'll have closing and next steps because we're not going to just stop here at this event. We don't want you to just go to this event and then go home and everything else. No, we want to be able to show you how you can stay engaged and involved in this important topic of intergenerational collaboration and solidarity. So, in honor of International Youth Day, which was celebrated around the world yesterday, we created this event. So, what is our purpose? Our purpose is really to spotlight youth-led innovations that are advancing the SDGs through local action and intergenerational collaboration. Our goal is to co-create solutions across generations, to strengthen local strategies with global relevance, and to contribute insights for the We Pay 30th anniversary. So let's ground ourselves in three important contexts. So again, Together for SDGs is a global initiative that brings younger and older change makers together to co-create SDG aligned, community-rooted solutions through listening, designing, and scaling intergenerational strategies. It serves as our guiding ethos for today's work. Two, we're part of a broader momentum. The UN's World Program of Action for Youth, or WePay, was adopted in 1995, which was the year that I was born, so 30 years ago, includes 15 priority areas from education and employment to health, environment, girls' empowerment, and intergenerational solidarity was also mentioned in this program. This was the first action plan on policies and programs for youth, which is why it is so important. And that's why we're celebrating it today and this year. And on September 25th, 2025, the UN General Assembly will convene a high-level plenary at the UN headquarters themed World Program of Action for Youth at 30, accelerating global progress through intergenerational collaboration. It will be live streamed and registration also remains open until the 15th, so that would be Friday. And we'll be sharing more information, including a link in the group chat shortly. But this is where it all intersects and connects. And we'll move on to the next slide. So, how we got here, building communities in action. This framework was actually co-designed by none other than Dr. Kristen Butterford, who is one of the co-leads for Together for SDGs, and Health Nest in Uganda. And this is based off of over 10 years of research to put together this framework and methodology. So you can see that we have gone through several cycles, including framing, designing, enacting, and reflecting. When we talk about framing, we listened. We listened a lot. We asked bold relational questions. We explored the visions, the values, and strengths that already exist within our communities. And then designing. This is where we were able to transform some of those insights into strategies, co-designed with and for community members across generations. And next, what we'll be doing is enacting. We bring those ideas to life. We're going to implement intergenerational strategies, amplify advocacy, and co-create a powerful toolkit that documents our learning. And we'll talk a little bit more about our insights report at the end of today's event. And then all throughout the design, throughout the framing, throughout the enacting, we're going to continue to reflect. So we're going to pause to celebrate, to learn, and to evolve. Now I'm going to pass the floor over to Dr. Kristen Butterford, who is a community researcher, social work educator, as well as a change maker who specializes in relational design and systems change. She's the principal of Community Strength, a UN representative and senior fellow of Generations United, and someone who really truly models how to listen, lead, and build across generations. I'll pass the floor over to my intergen twin, Dr. Kristen Butterford.
Thank you, Cairo. Okay, can we just give some emojis to Cairo? I mean, one thing I just love, Cairo, I am always so inspired by your leadership and the passion that you bring to global policy and advocacy, and also how that translates to work on the ground. So bringing generations together, making sure that that's integrated within policy frameworks, but that it really turns into action. And so your dedication to ensuring young people's voices are heard at the highest levels and grounded in the realities of communities has been really a driving force of bringing us together. So that is, I just wanted to acknowledge that and thank you, Cairo, for your leadership. Okay, great. So why intergenerational? We've been exploring this. We explored this as the Intergenerational News Subcommittee at the UN Civil Society Conference, of which Peter was an incredible subcommittee member as well and made a lot of really great things happen. But we wanted to just talk about, why does this matter? Why does intergenerational collaboration matter? Why are we even having this conversation? And so, at the heart of this is that generations, when we work together, we unlock ideas and relationships that none of us could create alone. It really brings an additional resource into our SDG work. And through this Together for SDGs Impact Hub, we're part of really a global momentum to advance the SDGs using intergenerational strategies. But we're not just talking about it. You'll hear about this from our youth leaders and Peter, who is going to close off. We're really looking at putting it into action using design thinking in the building communities and action framework. So really developing, testing, iterating, and scaling intergenerational strategies that are working. So our work is designed to accelerate the SDGs by uniting younger and older and other generations too, change makers to co-create solutions rooted in their local realities, which really speaks to this IYD, International Youth Day theme of local action and global impact. So it's built on the belief that intergenerational strategies unites and strengthens our communities and societies. And we know that it's fun. I mean, we know that it brings a special magic to the work, but it's not just fun. There's research that shows that it really works, that it can accelerate progress towards the SDGs. So, for example, the World Economic Forum recently reported that bringing just one younger leader, so Nazia, let's think about this. You've brought 6 interns, one younger leader into a decision-making space can boost a company's sustainability outcomes by up to 15%. That's because different generations bring different strengths. Together we make change more adaptive, more innovative, and more resilient. And you'll hear about that in our youth presentations. Also, policy and practice should honor the rights, needs, and contributions of all generations, including future generations. We should be thinking about all current generations and future generations. And we use resources more wisely when we connect generations rather than separate them. So we can bring programs together and strategies together and use those resources more wisely. And remember, equity matters. Every voice counts, from the youngest to the oldest, and especially those with the lived experience. Today, you'll hear from our youth design research how their strategies really center a commitment to equity. And if you have any questions, please pop them in chat. I won't be able to look at them, but we have people with eyes on chat, and we'll pause if there's questions or reflections, okay? So as Carole mentioned, the youth teams, so you'll hear from the youth leads, but they are part of teams. We had many teams of youth researchers that framed questions and went into their communities and had conversations with local leaders, with faith-based leaders, with older adults in the community. And we pulled this together in what Carole mentioned, our insights report, and came up with really 5 cross-cutting strategies for how generations can work together to accelerate and advance the SDGs. One is blending traditional and indigenous knowledge and wisdom with modern innovation. So you take that cultural practices, lived experience, and new technology, creative tools, and have new solutions that come out of that pairing. It's really magic. Creating intentional, inclusive, intergenerational spaces. Generations United has toolkits on this about how to develop shared spaces, intentional, inclusive spaces, but really designing places and programs where younger and older people can learn together, create, and make decisions together, both formally and informally. And then this was a big one, mutual empowerment and leadership. So mentorship is power sharing, not just transferring power from an older generation to a younger generation, but really building power together. And that this learning and power sharing goes both ways. Technology as a powerful enabler came up in the conversations. So the younger generation, and I tell you, I'm in the older generation, I love technology, but together we can use digital tools, social media, and AI to document, share, and apply community knowledge. So there were a lot of conversations about how can we use technology to share indigenous knowledge and practices, to capture those so that we don't lose them. So we'll hear about some things regarding that. And then addressing cultural, societal, and institutional barriers. You'll hear about this in some of the presentations. So really tackling harmful norms, stigma, and systemic obstacles through dialogue, policy influencing, and co-advocacy. And really, a lot of the conversations talked about how this starts at home. So going from home to community to policy levels. So be listening as you hear youth leaders share their presentations, how you see these intergenerational strategies embedded. And I just want to give an example, because sometimes intergenerational collaboration and strategies don't come naturally to us. We're so used to working within our current generation. And we think of when we're doing youth strategies, we're engaging youth. And so these are some of the really fun creative ideas that came out. It was like financial wisdom meeting innovation, where mentors, older and younger mentors share experience and digital tools, etc. This was really fun with seed saving. So understanding that in indigenous traditional farming and seed saving strategies meets tech for sustainable foods, like using drones and other ways of understanding climate change science. And then stories that heal. So really thinking about how to bring generations together, sharing resilience and stories and shared practices. And so these are just some examples of some of the cool things that came out of the insights report that in the conversations that we'll share with you. But now we get to hear from the youth, our youth leaders. And so these are our youth strategy presentations that we're kicking off. And I'm just super excited. I just first want to acknowledge the leadership of the teams that are part of Together for SDGs, and particularly these youth leaders. And there's folks in pairs that have been working together to put together this presentation. And you'll hear directly from them their intergenerational strategies, what they're doing, why it matters, and what difference does an intergenerational approach make. And they really, what they're learning and what they want to learn from you. Because as we go into our breakout rooms, they're going to be asking you for feedback. So 5 youth-led intergenerational strategies will be presented. And we want you to be thinking as you're listening to them. You're going to, when we go into the prototype group, you're going to be thinking about what do you like? So Elizabeth's going to go first. And I want you to listen to Elizabeth. And I want you to think about what am I really, what inspired by with this idea? What inspires me? And then I want you to think, oh, I wish this was more clear, or maybe this could be strengthened. And then what if this really took off? Like, what could she do to really, what could her team do to really make it a deeper impact? And then and this is really important for the World Program Action on Youth, for youth, is thinking about what young leaders and intergenerational collaboration really need to help this idea grow in their communities. So think about in your own community, if you were to do what Liz is going to be proposing for their intergenerational strategy, what would you need to help make it grow? So does everyone have that? Can I see a thumbs up of what you're going to be listening to as you listen to these presenters? How many thumbs up do we have? I can't see them all, so let me know. How are they doing, Liz? Okay, I've got Raleigh a thumbs up. Thank you. So I am going to turn over to Elizabeth, who is just, oh my goodness, I'll tell you each of these speakers that you're going to hear from. And Elizabeth, I'm not going to introduce each speaker, so you just when you're done, I'll just go to the next one and then the next leader can pop up. But all of you, I just want to tell you, I'm just so inspired by your leadership, the work that you're already doing in your communities. And this is what keeps me doing this work. So I just want to say thank you so much. And I am going to turn it over to Elizabeth.
Thank you so much, Christine. And thank you, our team leaders, that is Christine, Peter, and Cairo. So as Christine mentioned, my name is Elizabeth. I am Elizabeth Waliuba, and I'm speaking from Kenya. I work with a very vibrant team of SDG 5 champions, and our focus is on the people. With my team, we have been able to mobilize and also work closely with key individuals whom we believe are important in achieving our goals, working for SDG 5. So we've been able to work with other SDG champions. We've been able to work with community volunteers, community health promoters, our leaders at the grassroots. We've mobilized CSOs and worked with them. And we are also engaging community and youth networks, as well as the national and county government, whom we believe are the backbone of development nationally and also at county and community level. So what is it that we are doing? We are implementing a strategy known as Sauti za Usawa. And for us, this is an initiative that utilizes the power of sports, specifically basketball, to holistically address gender disparities that continue to hinder the progress of our women and also suppress their voices of both our women and girls at a grassroots level. So through basketball, we've been able to create safe spaces and also establish community hubs. The community hubs are both physical and digital. And this has been able to facilitate dialogue, healing, debunking notions. And the hubs have also been able to create avenues for strategic collaboration and partnership for transformational development of our girls and our women. The initiative, Sauti za Usawa, maybe if I didn't mention earlier, is translated to Voices for Equality. So as it says, it is aligned to SDG number 5, that is gender equality. And also it is aligned to YP priority area I and O that speaks about girls and young women as well as intergenerational issues. So this is basically about improving the situations of our girls and women as well as empowering them, and also all about inclusivity, inclusion of girls and women in not only activities but also decision making. So building on this momentum of progression of SDGs and also the YP priority areas, our solutions span advocacy for ending violence against girls and women, support towards education, skill building and development, as well as mentorship and capacity building. So somebody would ask why intergenerational collaboration for us as Sauti za Usawa. In 2024, we had the United Nations report that basically stated SDG 5 is performing dismally, believe it was at 15%. And also getting now to the grassroots, that is Bungoma County, teenage pregnancy and gender-based violence, including physical violence, is actually at double the average national incidence rate. So this called for urgent action, and we saw it best for us to come out as SDG 5 champions to be able to work on this. This collaboration has also helped us because for our initiative, it's an ongoing initiative. We continue building on it. It has helped us connect, we call it the wisdom and experience and the resources. We're not saying that young people do not have resources, but the elderly could be having more, and they've been able to come and support our initiative. And we are building on this to also bring in the creativity, the innovation, and the energy of the young people. So we know that our young people are energetic and they have creativity. Kristen earlier mentioned about us being the digital team. So for us, the youth are at the center of our strategy. We target the youth, we build with them, we co-create with them, and through the implementation process, we ensure that the youth are holistically involved. So when we are conducting our reviews, when we are conducting our feedback, we've been able to engage our youth at grassroots and also the ones who are supporting us in leading to be able to not only develop the strategies that we are doing, but also improve on what we are doing. So literally, we have placed the youth in spaces of decision making alongside community leaders. I'll give an example. During the Usawa festival, we had a team, and it was a youth-led festival. So we had a team leading, and in some events, they were taking co-lead positions. So even during our campaigns, we had our youth come in with messages that were well aligned to them, messages that we believed could be, the youth could relate to better. And for us, we want to make this sustainable. So we are here building a group or a network of SDG 5 champions that will incorporate both the elderly and the younger generation for us to be able to institutionalize Sauti za Usawa efforts as we move forward. As we are working, we cannot say it has been smooth. We've had a number of challenges, and just to mention a few, we experience I think it's limited trust and also commitment when it comes to the generational decision making, and also working together. Another issue is the issue of resources, but we are not blinded by this. We continue working. We continue to facilitate dialogue, storytelling, just to build a common understanding between the generations that we are working with, and to also showcase the success stories. The best example is the Usawa Festival that we worked together to build and to also implement. We are here to also advocate, or we continue to advocate in different spaces, including our national spaces, for funding for youth-led organization, for us to be able to strengthen and improve on what we are doing. So as we build, we ask ourselves a number of questions. And the questions come from the dialogue that we have been running, and also the engagements that we continue to work or to run with the different generations. One of the questions we ask is, how can we strengthen what we've already built? We've built Sauti Usawa. So how do we strengthen it and also ensure sustainability, working with grassroots and community-led action teams? And for us, we are working with basketball teams, we are working with community leaders and also other community teams. Another thing is the engagement of the elder women to ensure that they support our campaigns to end gender-based violence, looking at our region of work where we have deep-rooted culture, gender, and social norms. For us, if we achieve this, we are looking at a society where the elderly and the younger generation work together for equity. Our girls and women will be able to access education, health services, resources, and also empower themselves economically for sustainability. So basically, that is what Sauti za Usawa does. And thank you so much. Back to you.
Okay, I realized that I'm not going to be able to just hand it over. That was amazing. Thank you so much, Liz. Yeah, thank you, Ralia, for the celebration icons and Anini. Wonderful. So let me turn it over next to Aishu to present the team of Aishu and Tito's leadership and their team and what they've developed. Aishu.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bobby Ford. Greetings, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and fellow global citizens. I'm Charisma Devra, and I'm a member of Group 1, which is focusing on people, part of the United Nations 2030 Development Agenda. Additionally, I also serve as a youth representative Center for Public Health, which is an NGO based in Nigeria, focusing on health literacy and advocacy campaigns. Our intergenerational strategy is a Together for SDGs school clubs in collaboration with various actors to advance goal numbers 3, which is good health and well-being, 4, quality education, and 5, gender equality, which of course specifically focuses on the nexus of education, health, and gender equality. Additionally, the school clubs focus on the YPA priorities of education, girls, and young women, and intergenerational issues. The clubs include primary school students who will serve as ambassadors to achieve the SDGs under the guidance and mentorship of community individuals to support young girls and women. These clubs transform schools into community innovation labs where youth address real-world challenges alongside older generations, creating lasting solutions. The school clubs will involve different generations by including grandmothers and prominent female members of communities share life stories about resilience, community care, and women's health traditions as a pilot initiative, which can be used to develop other programs and other goals connected, of course, to the 2030 Development Agenda. Oral traditions serve as platforms for sharing wisdom, and hence the experiences of grandmothers can be shared through stories to the students. Furthermore, the older generations will be trained to answer the inquiries students may have on girls and young women's health for additional support. This is especially useful for perhaps, students who live far away from their parents, hence the additional support. Now, the proposed strategy fosters intergenerational collaboration and dispelling cultural and gender stereotypes for mutual understanding. Our proposed strategy ensures youth have real influence in local SDG actions by integrating the school clubs and hosting a quarterly dialogue where students, parents, and grandparents discuss health and gender equality, a very important issue, of course. So now what we have two platforms for the intergender collaboration in the proposed strategy include skill and conversation workshops and the peer to older person program. The skill and conversation workshops include practical skill sharing and guided dialogue facilitated by either a young or an older person which includes examples as soap making, washing clothes, teaching, of course, about overall hygiene and cleanliness, which, as we know, is very important indeed for our overall a high quality of life. Now, the second platform in our proposed strategy is the peer to older program, which includes each school club being paired with a group of adults, including teachers, aunts, grandmothers, other fellow community members who support the students with events on health awareness campaigns and gender equality. So now all of this is again going back to the proposed initiative focusing specifically on health and gender equality, but nevertheless, based on the success of this model, this can be implemented for, again, some of the other goals, including climate change, teaching about food preservation, etc. Some of the anticipated challenges include overcoming cultural barriers and taboos, especially when it comes to, of course, girls and young women's health, which may make it difficult for older people and you to openly discuss sensitive topics. Some solutions to overcome the barriers include using stories, metaphors, and visual cards for comfort and to gradually lead into open mixed age discussions where older people and youth can engage on the topics directly in a culturally sensitive manner. Now, to ensure the continuity of the clubs, as we know, that's very important in any idea we propose or any endeavor that we embark on, we suggest a hybrid structure that combines a formally recognized school club with community anchored extension. In schools, the club operates with an extracurricular framework that ensures leadership continuity and policy support. In the community, older generations host workshops, intergenerational dialogues, and skill sharing sessions, ensuring the program remains active beyond the school year. Together for SDG school clubs turn primary schools into living laboratories for solutions to global challenges rooted in community and powered by collaboration between generations. By empowering youth to lead with the guidance of older generations, a culture of shared responsibility is created to ensure today's solutions are everlasting. Thank you very much, and I pass it over back to you, Dr. Bodyford.
Thank you, Aisha. My goodness, I cannot wait to go to one of these school clubs. Is everyone else there? I mean, I am there. I can't wait. And I love how you're thinking about the cultural elements that are going to make those conversations really effective. So thank you for sharing us. And I wish I could say more. We need to keep moving on. So thank you. Ralia, I love your celebration. And Nini, great. Okay, so with that, I want to make sure I know Nazia had a little technology issue. Are you back, Nazia?
Yes, I'm here. Hello, how are you?
Good. I will pass over to you, Nazia. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarima. Hello and good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. I'm from Pakistan. And thank you so much, my team lead and distinguished guests all over the world. And from Pakistan, representative of Global Youth Think Tank and work as a research officer, Human Rights Department, Government in Pakistan. And to develop inclusive strategy, I and my team is thriving to align the local communities, youth network and educational department across the district of Pakistan and Sindh especially. So I'm telling about my strategy, who I cover. Our intergenerational strategy is called Voice for Impact. It's focused on connecting youth with policymaker and senior expert to co-design solution and directly address poverty, gender equality, and education gap, especially SDGs for quality of education. Thus, we all are working currently testing educational institute to community engagement hub where youth co-lead local problem solving session, which is very impactful, which align with SDGs for quality of education and World Program Action for Youth civic engagement. So now I will discuss about the intergenerational why is necessary. Despite providing funding and investment made, it is my observation and my team observation, investment made by the international agencies, the outcome is not satisfactory, which I observe. personally through 60 interns. Therefore, by involving different generation, by peering youth leader with mentor from the government and civil society at district level. Working group will strengthen the strategy by ensuring shared wisdom and experiences, institutional support and international ownership of solution. Youth influence local action. If I will discuss, so our strategy places youth at the center of planning and implementation. For example, youth researchers are conducting household survey on education access and feeding data into district education plan. Almost 60,000 people in this Together SDGs group. To sustain this, we propose a youth government partnership framework aimed in local SDGs action plan, which government is follow this direction and they are price us. If I will discuss about the challenges and support, so as a team lead of an internship program conducted by the Human Rights Department government of since 60 interns conducted a survey on SDGs under the supervision me. So the interns presented their field survey at Deputy Commissioner offices on SDGs, including 60,000 people, out of which 97 did not know about the SDGs. So thing is that SDGs come many years have been passed by Agenda 2030 is very limited time we have. So now we have to think what is our challenges. People don't know if in developing country like Pakistan, same 97% don't know about the SDG because this is research and I want to present actual fact data. So some challenges faced including limited, which observe and my team and me, very limited digital access. Like if it is, I'm in the office. In spite of this, my net is not working well. So thing is that in the village, what is the condition? So in rural area, low trust from traditional power holder and lack of youth friendly policy channels, power and decision making gap which can be seen, policy reform and implementation, practical and logistic barrier, communication and languages barrier, gender equality, political and governance challenges, economic and infrastructure gap, poverty, pressure, electricity, internet issue are observed. These are all challenges which is a very alarming situation because in this time transforming has been done and repeatedly things are changing after artificial intelligence and some other technology, but in this time we are facing these challenges. So now I would like to address that this platform who provide by team Christian, Kerio, Wendy. I'm very really thankful because of your supervision. I conduct survey. Surprising, last night I was thinking 80,000 people we survey, conduct survey through my team and interest. So thank you so much for all of you. Give me this opportunity and I show my result. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Nazia. And I know that you have been doing extensive, robust research on this in addition to your design research conversations and community. So I just thank you for your commitment and passion towards advancing the SDGs through intergenerational collaboration. So thank you so much, Nazia. Okay, we're going on to the next presentation with Ralia and Timothy. Ralia will be presenting Thrive Through Equality. So thank you.
Hello, everyone. I hope I'm audible enough. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you are. Said, my name is Ralia Ali Hussein, joining you from Kenya, presenting a project done as equality. I can say I am the founder of this project. It is at its prototype stage, but again, it doesn't change anything to get your feedback and to get your pointers here and there to actualize this dream. So what pushed me as an individual to reach here is I might not have lived the direct experiences that other communities and societies expresses, but through the 2024 report of the UN, where it is said that by 2030, if the dire needs of poverty is not addressed, 590 million individuals will still live below poverty level. So I imagined, what could we do as young and upcoming generation to cater for this and alleviate that large percentage that will still be living under the extreme poverty level. So my thought is, why thrive through equality? This is a strategy that actualizes the SDG number 5 in coalition with SDG 4 and with main focus on young and adolescents, women, where we'll be having these people at the heart of all this, believing that ending poverty starts with gender equality, empowering women to take charge of their decisions and everything. Because I believe in my society and many societies, empowering one woman in the society will empower a whole house, a whole home, which extend to a society, and growth comes as a result. What we do or we intend to do under Thrive Through Equality is we would like to do education and vocational training for these young women. This will not come as an alone thing, because we'll be indulging mentorship and life skills that after they get this education and everything, they'll be able to empower themselves economically and thrive through this. We also look at wellness programs and accessible healthcare. We're looking at collaborating with schools for education, healthcare centers and workers, as well as faith-based groups and community leaders. Here, you'll ask yourself, why use this strategy? Because we also look at the YPA areas that we fit in, like education, healthcare, young women and girls, and finally, intergenerational collaboration. Somebody will ask, why intergenerational collaboration? In my belief and in my team's belief, we believe that solutions that comes from different generations makes the best, because we'll be molding the wisdom from the elderly generation, the skills, expertise that come with young generation, especially the youth who are now more tech savvy than the elder generations. That's why in our work, we look at adolescents, girls, and young women. But again, while implementing it, we look at community elders, faith leaders, and local professionals who might have retired but or are still working, because elders will guide us in respecting the culture that is in place, also help us through them. We can help eliminate the social norms that might be harmful to the community and to the community to thrive ahead. So where do we put youth in this project, Thrive Through Equality? I look at youth not just being a participant in this, but they are the drivers of the actual change, because we look at creating educational hubs where we will be doing digital as well as entrepreneurial skills and all that training. But again, our facilitators mainly will be of youth category. Many are who we've already extended hand are under 30 and in the same age bracket, because we believe that they will be the ones who will help co-design the community workshop, gather feedback from the community, and adapt content that will be meaningful in this whole process of digitally and entrepreneurial skill gaining to the community. At the heart of all this, you can say, because a number of my youth representatives have come across, told us about their prototypes, their actual projects, and we've noticed that challenges are just part of everything. So our initial challenge, or the challenge that we are looking at up, is because it's something that we are incepting, we are coming up with that prototype stage. The first one is actually gaining the initial capital to start all this. And then after that, we are looking at also the trust and the acceptance from the community, which for you to gain this, the solution that we are looking at is, after gaining the initial capital or the funds that we need to kickstart this, we're looking at social enterprises that will be led by youth, young women and girls, for the sustainability of project even after the exit of the term projects that we are looking at. Also, the other solution is putting youth at the center of this, because through their implementation, they'll be able to influence the younger generation that are coming up, as well as the generation that are ahead of them for purpose of wisdom and guidance. We look at youth as the link between these two generations for the sustainability of this. I'd like to extend an invite to all the rest, all of us who are here, to give me feedback or my team feedback on how we can actually actualize this prototype of project, and maybe ask the question, what do you like about this? What do you wish about this? Give us feedback that you can actually give us a right track to face and kick off this project. So thank you very much. Back to you, Christine.
Thank you so much, Ralia. And I hear like a common theme too of really integrating cultural wisdom. Like culture and social norms are a really important part of these projects within communities. Thank you for that wisdom. And I can't wait to see the feedback that you get. So moving on to our last presentation before we introduce our speakers with Nini. And Fana, my apologies. I put Kenya on there. I know you're from the Gambia. So my apologies for that, Fana. I will correct that. And Anini, would you please share with us Kasanya Automation?
Okay, thank you, Christine, for the opportunity. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. I am Manini Esho from Kenya, and Prosperity Group team leader for Together for SDG. So with me, I'm a secretary general to a football team known as Kasanya Football Club. The club was formed in the 2nd July of 1987 with the aims of uplifting the lives of boy child and the girl child living in the street at that time. And currently, we are focusing on upskilling and involving those vulnerable youth from vulnerable background in the game of football. And we are transforming opportunities for the unemployed youth in Isiolo, County Kenya, by combining sport skills, training, and digital tools to advance SDG 8, that is decent work and economic growth, and tackling poverty, inequality, and social risk across Isiolo. So many vulnerable youth are trapped in irregular low-paying jobs, often in informal construction sectors, with a few pathways to stability. So with an initiative known as Kasanya Automation, we hope to empower young youth through sport skills, training, and automations, tools to create decent work and opportunities, to reduce poverty and counter risks such as drug abuse, armed conflict, and social exclusions. So we are resonating much on WPA where priority areas such as those armed conflict, leisure time usage, girl child support, and decent work, as I've said. So what is Kasanya Automation intergeneration strategy? So we automate and equip unemployed youth in informal construction center with the skills, digital tools, and mentorship. Anchored in Kasanya Football Club, the program also promotes gender equality, education, and peace building through sports skills, training, and community activities. So why are we bringing older generations into the activity of the football? We believe our older generations that took part a lot in bringing Kasanya to where it is today, we feel it is very important to incorporate them into managing posts such as steering committees, to offer mentorship roles, though there are many older generation have got a condition known as technophobia. They are not that tech savvy. We try as much as possible to engage them in digital spaces also, and we rely on their guidance, cultural wisdom, and connection to offer a concrete solution on what we are arguing on, or grievances that we have. They are the final voice of what we are doing, and we really involve them much, and that's why we are using intergenerational strategy into this automation strategy. So we believe youth-led implementing automation project, organizing football event for health, wellness, and leisure time use. We use digital platforms too, but there are a lot of problems that we vulnerable youth faces. So there are barriers that bars our youth from engagement, that is little or showing no interest in the activities that we are doing. We've got also digital scarce resources and technical know-how. As I'm coming from northern and arid area, the installations of the network is also very problematic, and we are finding that a problem. So we also have limited government support. We need some funding for equipment, and and a lack of sustainable project partners and collaborators. So we are using this intergenerational strategy to amplify and involve our older generation for their success. As this year, the theme for the International Youth Day is Youth for Local Action for the SDGs and beyond. We hope to incorporate them much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anini. And that concludes this section of listening to youth strategy presentations. And I just want to share a quote from this week's UN Civil Society newsletter. As development partners work to translate and implement the global goals within specific local contexts, aligning them with community needs while maintaining consistency with national and international commitments, young people are critical partners. They bring creativity, insight, and deep community ties that help bridge the gap between policy and practice. And after listening to all of these amazing presentations, didn't you already get the sense of the power harnessed by youth just from listening? So, according to the UN, over 1.8 billion youth between the ages of 15 and 24 years old account for about 16% of the global population. Now, we don't just need 16% of the world population advocating for some of these youth-related societal challenges. We need 100%. And this is where the strength of intergenerational collaboration and solidarity comes into play. Now, let me introduce our reflection seeds section, voices of intergenerational wisdom anchoring our strategies. They'll each offer how youth-led strategies link to systems change, ideas to make some of these intergenerational collaboration ideas practical, and one seed of wisdom for emerging change makers. We will start with Carole A'gengo, who is an intergenerational strategist and advocate for older people as change makers. She served as the co-chair, the conference co-chair of the 2024 United Nations Civil Society Conference in Nairobi, and was most recently with HelpAge International. She has worked across Africa and globally to advance intergenerational collaboration for the SDGs. I now give the floor over to none other than Carole A'gengo.
Thank you, Carole, and thanks everybody. Um, Many things that I've picked up from the conversations. So, first of all, thank you to all the young people for the amazing work that you're doing. Sorry, I'm in a very noisy place, but I hope that it is not coming through. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so just a couple of things. I think the key issues that I'm picking up are around voice and agency, both for the young and the old alike, but also the issue of inclusion and diversity, because intergenerational solidarity means that both ends of the spectrum in terms of age are taken into consideration. And yet we know that across that spectrum, there are diversities that exist. They're not homogeneous. The young people and the older people are not homogeneous. So looking at how we could contribute to youth-led strategies, how we can uh, build intergenerational collaboration, support ecosystems, and pass along the challenge. I just have a few reflections. The first one is that we need to strike that balance between, in the tension between the novelty that the younger people bring and the history or experience of older people. But we also know that when you flip that, there is novelty that can exist with older people. And we also know that experience can exist with younger people. So it is not unique. Experience is not unique to older people. Novelty is not unique to younger people. And so striking that balance and ensuring that the dance between the two is managed well is very critical. And I think some of it is shining through the examples that we've just had. So how do we support the ecosystems? We must build power together, because when we're speaking about SDG implementation, we must think about how to leverage the power that exists across the generations for us to move forward towards the implementation of the SDGs. And I just want to refer to a quote by someone called Justin Labalestier. He said, "The job of every generation is to discover flaws of the one that came before it. That's part of our growing up, figuring out all the ways your parents and friends are broken." And in many ways, we do that. But I want to suggest that once we've done that, we need to move ahead and fix some of those flaws or get them out of the way. Because when we stick in the place of criticizing the flaws, it also slows our momentum towards achieving goals such as the SDGs. So it is not enough to just discover those flaws. It is important to move ahead from them. And that requires that we step out of our generations. And I'll read another quote from someone called Chris Gemai. "We often hear about stepping out of ourselves, but rarely about stepping out of our generations. We find comfort within our generations." So many times you'll find individuals going out of their comfort zones, but when it comes to generations, we kind of go back into that space of the comfort of our generations. So how do we step out of our generations? And to suggest that we have to be organic and not programmatic. And we also have to look at the resources, the spaces, and the trust. And a lot of it has been spoken to. The resources sit across both ways. If you take AI, I'll use a stereotypical example. If you take AI, you think automatically of younger people. How do we harness that to ensure that it can then feed into the work of older people to make sure that it makes the work easier? A small issues such as pensions, access to healthcare, access to pensions, how can we leverage AI so that older people are not lining up in banks in villages for hours on end and losing out on their pensions, for example? Something as simple as that. How do we hold space for both the young and older people interchangeably? So my quick 4 points are: one, we must challenge the cultural narratives that are no longer fit for purpose across both generations. So we cannot hold on to the narrative that young people are energetic or destructive and that older people are slower and whatever. I'm just using those as stereotypes. How do we begin to break those cultural stereotypes and narratives and recreate new narratives based on the realities, such as has been provided by the 5 groups that spoke today? Number two, how do we step out of our generational cocoons? And I've spoken to that from the quote that I've read. How do we build together? And we've seen that Sauti Usawa spoke about it, the voices, Vital Voices spoke about it. How do we build together? My final point is that we must build viable succession plans. Why? Because the youth, where do the youth go? Just this is a question I'm asking. Please answer in the chat. Where do the young people go? Anybody dare take a guess? Elizabeth, where do young people go? Just unmute and shout it out.
They become elders.
Exactly. Young people become
Good
older
evening.
people. Yeah, young people become older people, and the older people become even older people. And so because youth is transient, we must build succession plans that will stand the test of time, that will not be based on the current generation, but one that will be based or will be able to sustain generations in the future. And remember, future generations will be made of people of all ages. And so we must adopt a life course approach, because the issues we're addressing, SDGs, for example, if we talk about gender equality, if you have discrimination based on gender for a young girl, chances are that she'll grow up into a poor old woman. So how do we break that along the life course? So those are my thoughts. I'll pause for now and pass it back to Kristen. And once Donna speaks and there's time, I could come back again. Thank you.
I just have to say, Carole, thank you so much for sharing what you did. I mean, I wrote down some notes. I see some hand clapping reactions. You really shared so much wisdom with us. I'll just share very quickly for the sake of time some of the notes that I wrote down. So, reminder to challenge cultural narratives and recreate those new narratives. We have to step out of our generations, and this allows us to challenge assumptions and access the power of working across generations, because we have to step out of that generational cocoon to build together. And when we are building together, we have to make sure that we're building viable succession plans, not just for our current generation, but for generations to come, simply because we are going to transition through the life cycle. We were once babies, and now we are the age that we are, and that cycle is going to continue. So thank you, Carole, for planting those seeds with us. And now I'm going to transition to Donna Butts, who is a global thought leader on intergenerational strategies. She actually recently also, she retired after nearly 30 years as executive director of Generations United, where she championed policies and programs that bring generations together to solve community challenges. She's a senior fellow of Generations United, and someone I definitely look up to. Donna Butts, the floor is yours.
Cairo, thank you. It's wonderful to be with everyone today, and greetings, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening for you. But your dedication and the fact that you're here speaks wonders and worlds. And it also, I think, is so important as leaders to see the leadership that's modeled by Cairo and Kristen working together in their efforts. I mean, they're very amazing in terms of how they complement and how they've been able to envision and grow things. So thank you. And Carole, I really appreciated your words of wisdom and what you've shared. Thank you so much. I'm not sure that I have a lot to add, but I did want to say a couple of things that struck me. One is that it's so terrific to hear and in such a clear way, the work and the thought and the practice that's underway that young people are leading, as well as the intergenerational aspect where young and older are working together. The creativity, the passion, but also the understanding of place and of culture is so critical. It's that translation to where you are that can make such a difference. So I just want to say kudos to everyone. I also found it very interesting. We talk a lot about bookends in intergenerational work, the bookends of younger and older that hold civil society together, that have such value, but are also so often the generations that are set aside, that are told they don't have anything to contribute, that they're either waiting to be or waiting to die. And neither one of those is true. Because as Carole commented, as Cairo echoed, we all are on a life journey. And if we're fortunate, we will be alive at every age and stage, from baby to older. And so when I first got involved with intergenerational work, I did it because I realized that I wanted to grow old in a world where I would still be relevant as I got older. And so that was really important to me. And in many ways, that's what um, young people are doing. We talk about the seeds that older adults plant for future generations, but really you're planting seeds that are going to benefit future generations and generations that are here, but also those that are going to come. So I just commend you for that. When I thought about the bookends, I was also very impressed that the way the presentations bookended was with basketball and football. And one of the things with intergenerational work is it also needs to be fun, and it needs to build things like that. Those kinds of sports build, good health, teamwork, skills, analysis, thinking, planning. There just are so many things that are involved, and also that help it be something that people want to be connected to, because we're tackling really important and difficult issues, and to take an approach that engages people both mentally and physically, I think is really phenomenal. And also the thing that struck me, and I was so glad that our final speaker, Anini, excuse me if I've mispronounced your name, represented men for us, because we're really talking about the need for men and women to be able to work equally together on these issues. And it's easy for women to talk about that, but for men, it's not as easy. So I was just delighted to see that. The other thing that I was thinking about is that one of the areas that has been touched on quite a bit is the need for sustainability and funding. And it's we all, as a nonprofit executive, are looking for ways to sustain our work. And that takes a lot of creativity, but it also takes in account what it is that works where you are. And I saw some mention about, local or regional, whether it's crafts, it's understanding what's needed, it's the passing on, how you work with the resources that you have that are so important. The I worked years ago with it was an intergenerational program, but it was with new refugees coming to America. And what we tried to do was help bring those skills into something that would be marketable in this country. And so we were able to work a lot with what the strength and the values that were brought to our country to help them know how to place that here. So the funding can be difficult, but it can't be what holds you back from doing what you're dreaming about. It's really important that you don't lose sight of what you want to create. The other aspect I just wanted to mention, because I know we wanted to have there's a lot of dialogue and a lot of feedback that you folks are going to get, because it's just a tremendous opportunity, is that intergenerational work is based on reciprocity and respect, and that's across generations. And it's realizing that not every old person or older person is wise, and not every young person's energetic, but there are individual and uniquenesses that we bring to our work together. And the last thought was a quote that I love from Albert Einstein, and that is that most people see what is and never see what can be. So be someone who sees what can be in your community and in your world, and don't be overwhelmed by the barriers, the obstacles, but everything, every small step, everything that you accomplish, that really helps to build a better world. And that's all that any of us can hope to do. So thank you for everything that you're doing and that you will do.
Thank you so much, Donna, for sharing that and for such an encouraging and a motivating piece of advice to leave us off with. The only thing that I will say, just for the sake of time, because there's a lot that I could share in this moment and that I gleaned from just listening to Carole and Donna speak today. But intergenerational work, yes, it is based on reciprocity, recognizing the fact that we do have to see the benefits and the advantages of us working together. It's beautiful to see what can come out and what can sprout out of intergenerational work, and to know that not only is it benefiting me to work with across generations, it's also benefiting the generations as well. It's a win-win situation, and that intergenerational work can be fun in terms of thinking, planning, development. We can enjoy it. It's hard work. We're always doing hard work, but at the very least, we can enjoy that. And there have been conversations, even I was talking to Kristen about this, the fact that we were having walks in nature while we were planning and prototyping this event and initiative together in person, and working collaboratively with Peter online. I mean, we were working across different time zones, across different generations, and we made it happen.
That was fun challenge of like running room to room and hearing all the different conversations. Sorry, Gabriel, we got cut off on our conversation. Gabriel is running some school clubs, but without older generations. And I was just thinking, what would it take? What difference would it make? What would look different with older generations involved? And what difference would that make? So I often like to think of that as what would be different, what would look different, and what difference would that make? Two really easy questions to ask ourselves. So I just want to really appreciate, first of all of our youth presentations. So let's give a big round of applause for the leadership that's brought us here with all the youth teams. And really, they've carried the vision for this work, and they've also carried the responsibility. So all of this that you saw of their prototypes were because they listened deeply in their communities. They held space for multiple generations in their conversations, and they transformed those conversations into strategies with real potential for change. And so I just really want to thank you. We got to be witnesses of the great work that you're doing, and we took a moment to reflect back what we heard, name the strengths, and offer ideas that might help strategies grow. And we're going to continue that. We'll continue that on LinkedIn and take your strategies and engage people and continuing to give you feedback. So thank you everyone for giving feedback in the rooms and listening with curiosity and generosity and a belief that we can really offer support and input that ripples beyond this room. So thank you so much. Okay, how was everyone's experience? Thumbs up, thumbs down, not sure, thumbs up. Okay, great. If you didn't have an opportunity to share your ideas, we'll send out a form. So you might have something that sparks later and you might go, boy, I really would like to give that feedback. Because sometimes when we're just put on the spot and we don't know everyone else that's in the room, we don't want to share. But so we'll send something else that gives you an opportunity to share. And I just want to honor that this was a living practice of intergenerational collaboration in action. Like, for example, I popped into the room with my friend, Mr. Buddy Moore, that was giving his feedback about the importance of engaging people also with limited vision or other abilities, differences in abilities to make sure that we're inclusive. So thank you, Buddy, for bringing your intergenerational perspective. And then I think what's really important is what we call a definitional ceremony. We talk about reflecting back what we've seen and heard in ways that affirm each other and expand ideas and also help us get the strength that we need to continue the work. So let's keep doing that on LinkedIn when we post things, just really affirming what people are doing and providing encouragement and expanding that, letting them know how we're changed by their work. So let's keep accelerating the work, advancing the SDGs. With that, I want to introduce you to someone who is my inspiration for action. I want to introduce you to Amanda Peter and acknowledge his leadership and unwavering commitment to youth engagement and action. He has an incredible gift for turning ideas into movement, making things happen, ensuring that conversations like this are followed with tangible steps afterwards. So Peter will now guide us through reflecting on what we've heard today and exploring how we can carry this work forward. Mr. Amanda Peter, are you ready? Can I spotlight you, my friend?
So it seems like I'm very much ready, and nice to hear all the conversations going on. So for 1 minute each, you guys, team one, room one, you will start telling us, the note taker will just tell us your high level highlights from your group. Ralia or Timothy, chime in 1 minute, high level reflections.
Let me just chime in and give a sentiment. First, I want to appreciate everyone for their feedback. It was insightful. What stood out for me was the fact that from those who gave feedback, they said issues that the Thrive Through Equality wants to address is replicable in their areas in terms of gender inequality and the systemic inequalities that are faced by girl, child, and women, especially in Pakistani and in Nigeria. So thank you very much. And also, the another thing that stood out for me was the wish that strengthening of policy that advocates for gender should be included in the Thrive Through Equality initiative. So I'll take that at heart, and I appreciate very much.
All right, thank you so much, Ralia, for that. Let's get to room 3, Elizabeth and Joan. Who is going for that? 1 minute.
Thank you so much for the feedback that you gave us. And one thing that stood was someone asked on how we would look further on what we will do if we had no funding. And when that was said, it clicked in my mind that is why we are supposed to build viable succession plans so that we are able to sustain the program even when we are not having funds. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Joan. Let's get to room 4, Nitya.
Yes, perfect. So in the room 4, our idea has been very good. I'm gonna start with it. So it was sports are a timeless language, while the older generation often sees them as a tradition and discipline. Our generation embraces them as innovation, community, and expression. Okay, so what we can do by combining the wisdom and experience of the old with the energy and the creativity of the young, sports can become the perfect stage for intergenerational exchange, uniting both sides in shared passion and purpose. Also, we went to how to scale it. We can scale our communities to semi-urban and rural areas where there is little to no digital or social invention, creating authentic spaces for connection. By partnering with aligned organization and relevant department, we could build deeper collaboration that bridge isolated communities into a greater network. And our favorite quote was, sports can build discipline, focus, and real life skills, and also they give people a purposeful use of time. So these were some of the very big highlights from our group.
All right, thank you so much, Ralia. Let's get to Sydney, team 5.
Hello, hello. We were discussing Voices for Impact. And during our discussion, we talked about how we like that the educational institutions were being used as the connection hubs, and how that really reinforces connection, development, growth, education, learning. We also talked about how we wish there was more connection between organizations and private sectors. Also, more involvement in policy making so that there's accountability for the powers that be. We were really wondering, like, what would happen or what would be the possibility of evolution if we had more youth involved in the decision making around civic challenges. We definitely talked about the need for access to technology for the youth and the wise, but also needing more dedication from the private sector and the government powers that be. One thing that we discussed regarding suggestions to carry forward was creativity around cultivating relationships between government entities and the community.
All right. Thank you so much, Sydney, for covering all that. So again, you guys, I just think you are amazing. And I think this is a start of something great by just look of it. You are going to rock the world. And I'm glad we met and connected at the UN Civil Society Conference. You've come up with really, really great initiatives. And I can see huge potential. I love that question of if somebody is not going to give us the money, how are we going to do it? I love that one. That made my day, and I can go away smiling all the time. Like I'm confident that you guys now mind is changed and we can do it. Could we jump on to the next steps there? So look, basically just like Christine shared, we did not want to bring you guys together, talk, and then go. Meaning you could organize your own talk sessions, organize all these conversations and keep it going. And then you test those ideas. And as obviously once Elizabeth has done something, and I know Aishu and Tito are looking to do something, and Ini, I know you are doing something with your football, how can we then keep this momentum going as we work on a report to submit to YPA Y30? So basically, as you test it, more insights and more information will be coming our way that can help us implement these initiatives. We could move to the next one, Christine.
Yeah, and if I could just say something with that too, Peter. So for folks that are here that have not been familiar with the Building Communities in Action framework, so the Together for SDGs design leads know this, that the next step is enacting. And part of enacting is testing your strategies. So we will be meeting with anyone that wants to join us, that wants to test any of your own strategies or these strategies in your community. Let us know. You can join us in the next session where we'll be joined by a person who is an expert in design thinking, who will teach us how to test it with 1 person, 10 people, and 100 people, and iterate and adapt our strategies as we're testing. So please join us if you would like.
Yeah, that is a kind invitation, Christine. But basically what Christine is trying to say, we are not leaving you guys alone. We want to work with you. And because more often people are being told, just like you had Carole and
Donna
speak, sometimes we feel left out, but sometimes we leave ourselves out. Because when you realize people are being brought to conversations, yes, we want to talk. Yes, we want to get these things done. But then once now people are called onto the table to get things done, then there is where now the crunch gets in. So we don't want you to leave yourselves out. As we promise to work with you, you need to, you yourself work with yourself so you don't leave yourself behind. We will try our best to give you what you guys can. We might not meet all the needs that you want, but we will try to give our best to work with you along the way and see those presentations, or if even you did, I know James is on there, if you did not have a chance to make your presentations today, the time is there. You can still go out, form your group, and we can still build those initiatives. Bringing your ideas. Yes, everybody can have an idea, but who then turns those ideas into real substances that people can actually come and touch? Because probably Christine and Cairo might be looking at, we might be hosting such an event in 2026. It's probably people to fund these initiatives. But when you come back with something you have done, then we are confident that you guys will not run away, and now you are worth funding. And I know Elizabeth and Tito will be smiling about what we've done with Club 17, and it is hectic. It is really, really tough. So when we get to next year, what the processes will be, we want you to actually go do things. They say even AI can give us ideas, but how do you turn those ideas into reality and the impact we are speaking about? So that together we can drive the change that we all want to see and bring our SDG impact together for SDG impact hubs across the 193 United Nations. But you guys will drive it. You guys have to drive it and call us when you need us. With that, Christine, I just have to say I appreciate everyone and everybody for pulling the strings and making it all happen. So thank you all.
Wow, I'm so amazed. We have 2 minutes to go. We are on time. Great work, everyone. Kyra, would you close for us?
Yes, yes. So first of all, I just want to thank our team leads and thank everyone who attended. Your energy, your ideas, and your voices meant so much. I have to give a huge shout out. I would be remiss without giving a huge shout out to none other than Dr. Kristen Bodiford, as we affectionately call her Kristen, as well as Amondi Peter for making this a reality. This event would not have been the same. This initiative would not have been the same without this special type of intergenerational solidarity that was displayed to even get us to this point and beyond. So as we wrap up, here's what's next. Your breakout insights will be included in our submission to the Youth Lead Festival during UNGA, or the UN General Assembly, in September. Those interested in attending or viewing the high-level plenary at the United Nations during the General Assembly, registration for the high-level plenary ends on August 15th. So it's this week. So to register, there are separate registration links for representatives of specially accredited organizations and NGOs in consultative status with ECOSOP. For more information, I'll actually share the Indico registration page with everyone here right now, as well as the fact that this will be on UN Web TV here. So this is for the high-level plenary that's happening September 25th. And this is part of a continuum. So let's stay connected. We'll be launching our Insights report this year following today's session. So please, please stay tuned and please share your stories, data, and partnerships to bolster intergenerational collaborations that move us forward and towards the SDGs. Thank you so much for being here. And now we're going to have a photo.